Here it is, folks. The most requested dish we make, cheesy bake. This is what we're going to be making today. It's cheesy, it's got vegetables, it's got beef, it's got Jiffy Mix breading, and it's cheesy. And did I mention it's cheesy? This was a completed one. Here we are, we're going to serve it up. Oh, this is so good. If you like cheese, this is for you. If you don't like cheese, stay away. Oh, look at that. Breading and cheese. Take a bite of this. Oh my God, this is so good. This one's mine. I'm keeping it and I'm eating it. Let's get started so you can have one too. Hello everybody. Welcome to my Christmas edition of Cheesy Baked. It is probably the most requested dish in my family. It's simple, it's quick, and it is delicious. If you look, what you're going to need is 1.5 pounds of hamburger, as much cheese as you like. We're going to need more than what this calls for, or what I have right here. 1.5 pounds of mixed vegetables. If you want, you don't have to do this. I have a little bit of Italian sausage left over in the fridge. I'm just going to chop it up and use it. You don't have to. The only seasoning you'll need is Italian seasoning. You'll need 2 cans of Campbell's cheddar cheese soup. And I say Campbell's not because they're paying me or I'm on their payroll of any type. This is the best for this dish. And we're going to need Jiffy Mix baking mix. Not corn muffin mix, but Jiffy plain baking mix. The same thing you make biscuits or dumplings out of. We'll need a clear bowl right here. Doesn't have to be clear, just has to be a big enough mixing bowl. And we'll be making it in a glass cake pan. These are the ones that turn out the best. Alright, let's get started. We're going to cook our hamburger now. If you're using a 70-30 mix, which is a little bit of a higher fat content, you're going to get more grease in the pan. I'm using a very low fat content. So, usually you wouldn't need this unless you're doing what I'm doing. I'm going to give it just a blurble of olive oil. That's all. We're going to take our hamburger, and here comes my favorite part. Listen! That sizzle is the best. Listen to that sizzle. Alright, I'm going to let that cook down a bit. It already smells good. Now, like I said, the only seasoning we need here is Italian. This is the only seasoning, and not a lot. Just 5, 6, 12 shakes, something like that. Just enough to add a tad of flavor to it. And we're going to cook it down. A lot of times in the past, I'll tell you, only cook your hamburger or chicken down to 80 or 90%, and then we're going to add spices and then cook it more. In this case, we've already added our Italian seasoning. We're going to cook it till it's 100%, and then we're going to drain it. Well, my flame went out. Okay. Be back in a second. We're going to drain our meat now. We don't want all the grease juice going down the drain. That's not always a good idea, or really ever a good idea. So we're going to put the plate in that we had the hamburger on, the ground beef on. We're going to put our colander right on top, and then we're going to let our hamburger drain just like that, and the plate beneath it will catch everything that drains through. Alright, now get your glass cake pan. This is what we're going to do to make sure this doesn't stick. This is just 1/4 of a blur bowl. what you want to do, because I do not like using kitchen spray, it's oil sprays of any kind. You put a quarter of a burble, mix it around well, and this is what I do. No matter what I'm making, whether it be a cake, a cheesy bake, anything at all, I put the oil in like that to coat the pan, and then using the powder of what I'm making, in this case, the Jiffy baking mix, I move it around to use that as a way of giving it a non-stick surface. Now, do not waste any, although we do make a mess while we're doing it. I'll put it into that bowl. Now we'll start making the mix. While our hamburger is draining, we're going to get our Jiffy mix. Notice I put the box inside of a bowl, just to keep the mess down. We're going to need 3 cups. 2, 2.5, I'm getting near the bottom. 2 3/4. 3. There we go. Now we're going to add some milk. Whole 2%. Either one's fine. 1% is just a little too light for this. 3/4 of a cup to start. And an egg. How's it?
Where's the egg?
I brought it out.
You lost an egg?
I lost an egg.
How does one lose an egg?
I don't know, but that is weird. Oh, I had him sitting on that pink thing, I thought.
Well, let's find the egg.
Jesus, I'm getting wrong.
I guess we'll be back.
2 hours
We found the egg. It had escaped, but we caught it. 1 egg only. It's not going to be adding a flavor to this, but it will be a binding agent. So, we're just going to stir and mix. Stir and mix. You can see it's getting thick. We don't want it this thick. We just didn't want it splashing everywhere when we started. So, we're going to add another 1/2 cup at this point. So it came down to, as it almost always does every time I make this, 1 1/4 cups total of milk. You don't need all of the lumps beaten out of it, but you need it smooth. You kind of want it thick, a little thicker than pancake batter. And you probably have to stir it for a good 1.5 to 2 minutes. And there we go. Alright. Alright, our hamburger is drained, or ground beef, whatever you want to call it where you're from. I'm going to put it back in the pan cold and let it heat up. We're not looking for the sizzle this time, because we're going to be blending a few things with this. And we want all the heat together. Hamburger. Vegetables. Stir them up good. Now the soup. 2 cans of our Campbell's cheddar cheese soup. Right on top. Get every bit of it. If you're like our family, and I say this all the time, there is not enough cheese. Never enough cheese. You can hear it starting to sizzle now. There we go. That came out nicely. That comes out nicely. Stir this up, and we're going to add some milk in a second, but not quite yet. You want that cheese dispersed evenly in an exact 1 to 0.23 ratio of, I'm lying, just mix it up really well. Alright, now you can see that goopy mess we have. That's what we want. You want a goopy mess. And then, half cup of milk is all it should take. So we're going to get, like I said, 2% whole, it's all fine. 1% skimmed will not work. Pour that half cup in. Stir slowly. And as you can see, it's all heating up together this way. It's nice. It's cheesy. And pretty soon it'll be baked. And that's what you want. You want it thick like this. It's going to cook thinner while it's in the oven. That's why we don't want it thick right now. All the cheese that's in there, all the juices from the vegetables, the hamburger, is all going to cook it thinner. So don't make it any thinner than that right there. Now, we're just going to do this and stir it on medium for about 2 more minutes to make sure it's all blended. Now we're going to preheat the oven to 375 degrees. I just turned it on. Let it preheat while your mixture is cooking. And if you like, throw a little cheese in on the top. Just leave it on the top. It'll melt itself in and you'll know when you're ready to go. Now our mix is still simmering. Our oven is heating up. We're going to go down to our Jiffy mix now. As you can see, it thickened while we were doing that. This also will lighten up as we cook. So we're going to pour this in to our pan, every bit of it. Put the bowl aside. We're going to scrape that. And we want to get it all spread out throughout. So take your time. Looks like it's kind of thick. This is what it's supposed to be. You can get that out like that. Get your spatula. My Merry Christmas spatula. See how much more there is that way? All right. And we'll use our spatula to finish it up. If you just let it sit, it'll find its way. It'll level itself. But we want to eat this tonight. There we go. Now, once our oven has reached 400 or 375 degrees, we're going to put this in just like this in the middle rack for 7 minutes. We want to pre-cook it a little bit, and that's all. All right. Now we've got it in, put it in the oven, middle rack for 7 minutes. What we're trying to do is cook a thin layer on the top so that it doesn't sink all the way to the glass. We want an actual breading on the bottom. Our meat mixture is cooking nicely. As you can see, it's thinning out, as I said it would. The other cheese has melted into it. We're almost there. At this point, turn off your mixture. Come back in 7 minutes. 7 minutes has passed. We're taking it out. Doesn't look like it's been cooked much, but you can see, if you touch it very lightly, it's just enough thickening. You got a thin layer on it to be ready for the mixture. And this is the best part of the taste. Right here. The mixture. Put it just towards the center to start with. Don't pour it all in at once first. Now you can see it's finding its way in. The Jiffy Mix will cook up around it, but it keeps it from getting all the way to the bottom. You want a thin layer of, or a border of the Jiffy mix. There we go. Once we have it in place, we'll add all the rest. Yes, some people call this cheesy hamburger dish. I made a lot of variations on it until I came up with this. And oh my gosh, is this so good. Once we have it in place, we'll put cheese over the top. You can use a mix of cheese, you can just use cheddar cheese. It's called Cheesy Bake. There's a reason. Now, that looks like it should be enough, right? It's not. We're going to just get a little more. This is going to bake and blend right into the mixture. You can get it on the breading around it if you want. It's all up to you. I try to leave a little bit of it open. And there you have it. There's our cheesy bake. Ready to go in the oven at 375. You're going to cook it for 20 more minutes. Check it. Every oven cooks differently. Every altitude causes a difference. If you can push through the side like a cake with a piece of spaghetti noodle and it comes out wet, 10 more minutes. Comes out dry, it's done. Let it sit. Give it at least 10 to 15 minutes once it's done cooking for everything to kind of congeal together, and cut it just like you would a cake. 2 lengthwise, cut it across, scoop it out, and enjoy. So I hope you enjoy this. I hope it's something you pass on to your friends, tell your friends about. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments below. Remember, the only way to help me grow is to like and subscribe. It's not just a annoying thing, even though it is annoying, everybody says it. I'm asking you to like, subscribe, and share to help me grow. This is Chef Ken Dad telling you that baking is science, cooking is art. Also, you can find me, if you have kids that want to learn how to cook, I almost forgot this part. Find me at outschool.com. Chef Ken Dad. Outschool.com. Thank you.